Welcome back to Bartlow's Barbecue. I'm Scott, and today we're doing a 3-year review on the Kamado Joe SloRoller, comparing it to Heat Deflectors. We're going to be sharing the pros and cons in part 1, and then part 2, I want to give you an update on the specs of the temperature minimum now, and then lastly, we're going to cook some pork spare ribs and do a final review and give you my current thoughts 3 years later. Stay tuned and we'll get right into it. Unless you've been living under a rock, you probably have heard of a Kamado Joe SloRoller. This was designed 3 years ago by a group of students from Harvard Business School. They ended up starting their own for-profit business to produce innovative products for grills and smokers. Kamado Joe teamed up, and the concept is simple, is they have a design that's uniquely created to fit in a ceramic grill so that can produce 20 times more airflow and also smoke that's going to have more an efficient cook quicker, but also have more tender and juicy barbecue. So that is the big idea. I'll probably have a graphic showing up on the screen as I'm talking, but next segment here, let's talk about my pros and cons after using this for 3 years, especially compared to Heat Deflectors. And you might be wondering, is it worth it if I have the Series 1 or 2 to purchase versus the Series 3 Classic or Big Joe that it comes with, and you already have it, so you might already just go ahead and use it. So I want to share my latest learnings on the SloRoller and a few updates as well. So let's get into the pros and cons. Let's get it right into the pros and cons. I'll have this on the screen throughout this conversation, but to get right to it, the pros for me is it creates more airflow and smoke to produce that even and efficient cooking. Essentially, it does what it says it was meant to do. We'll talk in detail on all of these here in a moment. The second thing, it is effective for longer cooks, in my opinion. I think it shines there. The third, it's compatible with other 18-inch charcoal grills like your Series 1 and 2 Kamados as an additional accessory, and also I think it's the large big green egg. I've even tested it on a Weber and it fits. And then the cons again are mess. It's just a mess to clean. It chips. So 3 years into this, you know, that is definitely kind of frustrating, but at the same time, when you buy a accessory for a grill, just expect it to be dirty. So I should, you know, let that one go in the sense that you're still cooking on a grill, so it's going to get dirty and messy, but it is a little annoying, I'll be honest. Second con would be older models lose inches. So as an additional accessory, you're going to have the SloRoller sitting closer to the charcoal basket, where you gain 4 inches on the Series 3 models, and I think that's where it shines, and what they created it for to be most effective is gaining a much of that airflow possibility, kind of rolling and adding that smoke. The third con, it would be cost. This might be subjected to the user. Some people say if you can afford a Kamado Joe, you can afford these accessories, but hey, it adds up, and I think you can buy the SloRoller without grill grates for like $130 and like $250 for the whole set. But I'm gonna put that on the con list because it comes with it on the Series 3, but not, it's an additional cost for your Classic 1 and Series 1 and 2. The last thing is it doesn't perform as good for shorter cooks, and that's kind of obvious. It shines low, you know, low and slow, that between 250 and that 275. I oftentimes run mine at 275. Find it being really efficient, even cook, especially on cooking whole chickens. I've done beer can chickens, I've done brisket, pork butts, I've done spatchcock chicken, I think I said that. I've done a lot of different things, ribs. I'm trying to think all the things I might throw on the screen I've done with the SloRoller and have had really effective cooks for the longer things. I'm typically finding myself using Heat Deflectors for shorter cooks just because I don't necessarily always see the point of that and where it shines compared to just throwing in Heat Deflectors. And honestly, I find my circumstances oftentimes dictate my use of the SloRoller versus the Heat Deflectors. If I'm catering or cooking for friends, I'm going to probably use the SloRoller. on my Series 3 grills, because I want to give myself the best chance for the most even cook and tender and juicy barbecue. If it's every day of the week and I maybe crunch for time, I'm probably using heat deflectors or shorter cooks on proteins, then I'm typically using heat deflectors. So those are kind of my realities over the past 3 years of what dictates my behavior when I use it and when I don't, and would I buy it again as an accessory. I don't think I would as an additional accessory, because I think it shines with the Classic 3 in the way it was designed to have a taller 4 inches in the grill. I think that's gonna shine there, and also the longer cook. So put in the comments, let me know if you agree with some of those pros and cons, if there's anything I missed that you would add to it. I do think we'll talk about fuel efficiency as well, but I haven't done a true test where I've compared the fuel efficiency between heat deflectors and SloRoller side by side. But we're going to smoke pork spare ribs today. I'm not going to show you step by step how to cook pork spare ribs. I've got tons of videos on the channel for you to check out. We're just going to show you the end result, and I'll give you the highlights and the overview of my plan, but then we'll just get to the end, and then we'll have the final thoughts on the performance of the SloRoller 3 years later. Well, I want to give you a SloRoller update. This is a spec and temperature guideline update. It could affect your warranty. I do need to verify that from Kamado Joe, but I was watching one of the latest videos from James from Smokin' Dad Barbecue, a friend of mine, and he picked up that the SloRoller temperature guidelines have shifted from the 500 degrees to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And so what you'll notice, and I've shared this in the pros and cons about the chipping and things like that, and all the nature of putting too much heat on there could damage the product. And so I don't know if it was through just a bunch of testing or if it was just user feedback. And I find that Kamado Joe does a great job of listening to their customer feedback and even some of their ambassadors. And I am unapologetically a Kamado Joe Fire Squad member, and love Kamado Joe. So, but I still am going to give honest feedback. So I think over time, this may have been just feedback that was given, so they've lowered those guidelines to 300 degrees so that you don't damage it. What I don't know is if you go over 300 degrees and you end up as a user error and you end up damaging the SloRoller through chipping and things like that, I'm not sure if that voids the warranty. But I think it's just worth noting when you do go to the website, the updated PDF for the guidelines and instructions do have that 300 on it. But that's just something that I just noticed recently. So I'm not sure how long it's been out, and it may be just user error on my end if it's been out longer than that. Outside of that, I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that and those guidelines. And I agree with it. I actually think it thrives at that 270 to 300 degrees anyways. It's made to be low and slow. So this change is not bad, and it's just being mindful of it as a end user. And even today's cook, my temperature is staying steady at 300 because I was editing this video and realized, oh, I let it drop. So I'm trying to adjust it back down to 275, but I think we're gonna land at 300. And so just a good example, it just happens to all of us, but just be mindful of that as an update. So today we're setting up 2 Kamado Joes. I got the Konnected Joe with the heat deflectors in one, and then I've got the Classic 3 with the SloRoller, both 18-inch grills. That was kind of my thought process. I want to acknowledge that I recognize the 3 Series has that 4 inches more with the SloRoller, but just want to kind of showcase same size grill, heat deflector versus SloRoller. And I was in the mood for ribs. I didn't really want to spend the money for brisket, and ribs sounded great today. So that's why we're doing that today on this comparison. We are using lump charcoal with 3 pieces of wood chunk. This is post oak. I like the simplicity of post oak, but I also like to use pecan, but today is post oak. I bury the charcoal or the wood chunks with the charcoal, setting the grill to 275 to 300 on both of these. trying to get to 275 because I don't want to go beyond 300 on the SloRoller, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. Using some spare ribs, we're cutting to St. Louis style, using some Sweet Red Dirt, which my new rub that I came out with. I'll have a link in the description if that's something you're interested in learning about. And then stay tuned in the hopefully the winter, spring, we'll be rolling out a few new rubs and a barbecue sauce that I'm so excited about. But this is our plan for smoking. We're not going to do anything fancy with sauce or anything like that. Just want to throw the seasoning on, smoke this until we get probe tender. Show you the final results and see if there's any noticeable differences on this video that we show you today. And again, I want to say thank you for watching the channel. If you're finding value in this video so far, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit notifications. We do a lot of different reviews and recipes and also different giveaways to help support you on your barbecue journey as I'm growing as well. So we're going to get these ribs on the grill here in a moment. Well, we have finished up these ribs. This is the SloRoller ribs, and that is the Heat Deflectors on the Konnected Joe. This is Classic 3. Take these out, let them rest for 10 minutes, a little bit. Make sure you get a good showing of these things. See if I can get a decent close-up of this. And then we will... Oh, it's cold here, so you can see all the moisture coming off the ribs. Really nice. This was a total of a 3-hour smoke. And again, I recognize SloRoller. Best sweet spot is lower and slower, but ribs were on the menu today. So 3-hour ribs for both of these. We're going to slice into them, see how we did, see if there's any major differences. So far, the coloring looks pretty similar. Well, as you just saw, you saw the final result of the ribs on the Heat Deflector versus SloRoller. They are head to head. Again, 3 hours. So again, maybe I know from experience, the SloRoller longer cooks does a very more pronounced job, but I actually think you could tell the SloRoller kind of pulls through on tenderness and juiciness, because this is SloRoller, the juices are still flowing. This one's a little bit more dry on the Heat Deflectors. I will say that I ran a little hotter on the Konnected Joe, but I've been regulating both of them to that 300 degrees. I was aiming for 275, but I was editing, kind of lost track of time. But we're gonna do a taste test. I would say they both are equal as far as appearance on the top and around. They both have a good smoke ring. They both look and feel tender. From appearance here, SloRoller so far, it looks like it's got more tenderness, but let's see if taste is any different here. It's a money shot for ribs, for Sweet Red Dirt. Now we're going to do this same thing for the Heat Deflector. Oh, wow. Well, from a flavor standpoint, they turned out great. And then when it comes to tenderness and the bite through, I felt like it was too close to call. They both were almost identical. And man, surprisingly, I might even say the Heat Deflector one, kind of, I bit through it. I felt like a little easier, but flavor was there on both. Tenderness and juiciness seemed to be overflowing on the SloRoller one compared, but my bite through seemed whenever I actually going through on the Heat Deflector one. So I feel like it's too close to call because, again, same fuel, same wood, same rub, same process. The only variable was occasionally the KJ running a little hot, to be transparent, but just kind of bringing those down for a little bit. And from my experience, like I've said in the video, cooking low and slow, I've seen the difference on brisket for a longer cook and a little bit more pronounced smoke ring and tenderness in that way. So overall, man, what a great kind of fun updated experience with the smoking the ribs. But overall, I wanted to give you my honest feedback on circumstances and realities after 3 years of use of the SloRoller. I hope that was helpful. Would love to hear from you on your personal experience, and if there's other insights that you might bring for others that watch the channel, in the comments below. And again, from my backyard to yours, less hate, more love, good barbecue. Till next time.